From the 24th up to 29th of March 2025, the Zambian Union of the International Missionary Society had undergone a reorganization. During this reorganization, the African Division of the International Missionary Society had conducted leadership seminar prior to the commencement of election of new leaders. The president of the African Division, Pastor Benjamin Madisha, emphasized the need to train leaders in various leadership capacities and principles of the church. He further emphasized that it is very important for leadership to keep changing because it is God's own ordained plan to change leaders from time to time. Here is a report in details.
Yeah, coming to Zambia was to conduct re-elections of the union. So first, we gave the outgoing officers to give reports to the delegates thereafter, and we started the reorganization with the delegates. Yeah, at this level of leadership, it's very important. This is the system or the order from God that from time to time we have elections, because we believe that God, from time to time, will be changing leadership. God knows those who will take the work and develop it up to a certain stage, and then after God will bring other officers to take it further. So this is God's doing. So from time to time, God will have new leaders, but He knows where He's leading His church. Before all the proceedings, we had a seminar. So we had to educate them. Delegates needed to be educated how to elect.
Pastor Madisha further said that it is the strong vision of the African Division to ensure that leadership embraces the youth, given that most of the pastors and elders are advanced in age, without which the work may end up being affected or may suffer. Here are the details.
Our vision as African Division is to encourage leadership, or new leadership, to incorporate the youth. We want the youth to be incorporated in the work because we realized we have old people, and if we don't incorporate the youth, the work will suffer. So we need to give the youth that chance to be incorporated. Gradually, they will learn, and then we will be sure that the work will be left in their good hands. So without giving them the opportunity, the work will suffer.
The African Division President further stressed that the information that was shared during the leadership seminar was not just meant for leaders, but that the information must reach the lowest levels of church organizations such as churches and branches. And he strongly emphasized that it is a responsibility of leaders to take this information to all members of the household of faith. Here is a report.
Yes, the African Division is very observant. When we visit a country, as we are discussing with delegates, we get information. So our aim is not only to have the officers, but it must filtrate down to the local church. Because what has been brought in the delegate session, the seminar is for local churches. So we emphasize to the delegates, go back and teach your local churches. This is not only, this is information, you cannot keep it for yourself. Go back to your local churches, teach them. That was our emphasis.
The African Division further said that Zambia has great potential to govern itself, in spite of various challenges it may be going through. However, I noticed that there have been a number of talents that have not been fully explored and have been neglected. The president of the African Division further observed that there is need for Zambia to embrace unity in diversity so that there is a very fair mix of different backgrounds into the work of God. Here is a report.
We saw a great potential in Zambia.
Glad to hear that.
Zambia can stand on its own, but we have talent which has been neglected. So we want every talent to be incorporated. Okay, sadly, we discovered you have tribes here, and then some tribes maybe feel they are superior to others, but we emphasize that we are all the children of God. So we don't work being influenced by tribalism. So we want tribalism to die. But we hope that our delegates learned a lot. They will take it from there and improve the West in Zambia. So my wish is for the West to develop. Because there is a potential and the West can develop. So our wish is to see the West develop.
Further speaking during the delegation in Lusaka, Zambia, the African Division President further urged that there is need to introduce young ministers or pastors in the work. Also adding that it would be very expedient for the work of God if the young people can also embrace the use of new technologies in the preaching of the gospel. He also emphasized that the General Conference delegation resolved to ordain part-time pastors to complement the labors of the full-time pastors. Here is a report.
Yes, from the executive of the division, our vision is to see young pastors coming in. Because we studied our country, our continent, and we see aging pastors. And now the baton has to be given to the young. And not only that, young people are quick technologically, they catch up things quickly. And then young people, once taught and they understand, they run. They quickly run. So because of that, our vision is to see young pastors coming in. The question of part-time pastors was discussed with the delegates. That is the resolution of the General Conference Assembly, that we need to have part-time pastors, because that will help the church financially. Part-time pastors will be spreading the gospel. Sometimes they will be only given allowance for traveling. Others are self-supporting. They can do the work without any finances, dependent on the union. So our vision is to have more young pastors. Because we have young people who are talented but are not given a chance. So that we want to promote them. Yes, it will come slowly, but it will come. Because already some countries, you see 1 or 2 young pastors being incorporated.
The African Division further guided that as much as young ministers or pastors are required in the ministry, they are not going to ordain blindly, and further urged that for young people to qualify to enter into the ministry, they must be faithful. Here is a report.
We are not going to ordain young pastors who are not faithful. So first thing we say, young people, be faithful. And when you are faithful, that's when you qualify. So we cannot deprive faithful from them. So yes, our message to young people, be faithful. That's our first thing. And when you are given responsibility, as Ecclesiastes said, young verse 10, do it with all your might. So with all your ability, do. Then that's when we will discover talent.
In an exclusive interview with Sister Mlenga Chungu, the Director of Education and Scholarship at the Invest Campus Fellowship, Pastor Alfred Ngwenya, the Vice President of African Division, emphasized that people with intellectual gifts must be embraced in the ministry, as they have ability to reach out people who cannot be reached by other members who do not have similar capabilities.
Among our officers of the union, we have professors, you see?
Indeed.
So it will be easy for them to approach other professors in the university.
Yes.
You see, God is working on, we're in the direction too, because Paul was a professor, Moses was a professor. God did not deliberately choose Moses, but he saw what was in Moses. The only thing, God humbled Moses so that he could use him. You see,
Yes.
let's look at all the disciples. Some disciples, academically, they were not all that educated. Yes, spiritual. But the Gentiles, the Greeks, were so educated, so such that the other disciples could be hard to approach them. But Paul was a professor. When he was converted, he approached them.
African Division Vice President further encouraged that young people should not just be educated but must also be spiritual in order to serve the Lord more effectively. Here are the details.
So we encourage our young people to be professors, but be spiritual also, so that they will reach the higher class.
The African Division Vice President further encouraged sisters to be active co-laborers in the vineyard, emphasizing that sisters, if well used and well placed, they can actually contribute more effectively to advancing the work of God. This work cannot move without the support of sisters. Though they may not become pastors or ministers or priests, yet they have a very special place which God has allocated to them to contribute to the advancement of the work of God. Here are the details.
In the house, the husband is a director, the sister is the manager. Which means gospel cannot be successful unless the sisters are part of the movement. You see the point? Remember, God called up Sister Deborah, was a prophetess.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
What shall we say about Hannah? She was there. What shall we say about Miriam? You will see that the sisters should be involved in the spread of the gospel, even in the administration. Remember, some they've got even more good talent than men. You see? Yes, they cannot be priests. They cannot be priests because priests will do this for men. You see the point?
Yes.
But in the other approaches, sisters, they have to help.
Absolutely.
Do you understand? Yes, we need to use them. Take advantage of their talent. Remember, the first teacher is a woman.
Yes.
Do you know that?
That is true.
Every teacher who comes into this world comes from a woman. That is, Jesus was taught by what?
By a woman.
And myself, you see me here today. I'm a pastor. The one who converted me to IMS is a woman. The one who trained me to be baptized is a woman.
Wow.
The one who trained me to be a pastor is a woman. So what do we say about it?
During the 2025 reorganization of the Zambian Union, we also witnessed the ordination of two ministers, Pastor Howard Mulenga and Pastor Shepherd Hampako. Pastor Shepherd Hampako was elected as the new Zambian Union president, and in an exclusive interview, he had the following guidelines and vision to
The
share.
first thing
Here are
is
the
to
details.
try to see that there is more unity within our church. And then also apart from that, we would want to have more workers, especially for people who are of caliber. I know that there has always been workers in our union, but the concentration has been more of those who can work in a rural setting, and therefore neglecting those who are regarded as high class. These are the people who we need, who can help us to make the work even grow faster. So we will need to improve work amongst people who we can see to say they can be influential in bringing people. You know, once you work on people who are influential, the masses, in many times, they justify. So, it is important. We cannot ignore the rich. We cannot ignore those who are educated. And yes, we know to say God is the one, and God, through the Holy Spirit, is the one who qualifies workers to guard the person who is rich, poor, or whatever tribe you are, or whether educated or uneducated. We are all the same in the sight of God. But we should also recognize to say when somebody has gone to school, he has an extra advantage over the person who didn't go to school. I can give you an example of Peter and Paul. Peter was capable and he could take the work further. But God, in his own wisdom, chose Paul so that he could lead work, so that he is able to argue with kings, with rulers and people like judges and people of all the types, but at the same time still capable to work among those who are regarded as low class in society. I would want to see that there's accountability in terms of the funds and resources, and then also we try to find means other than depending on donations and offerings like that, to find projects which can generate income. Yes. This work will be too much for me. I need the support of everybody. We have the past administration, we have the experience, and not only in leadership, but also in the ministry. I've just been incorporated in the ministry. I'll need their guidance. And also I'll need the support and prayers of every believer in the country, so that quickly we can take the message across the country.
And your final words of encouragement to any person that may just randomly find us, or even the brethren that did not manage to come here for this special event?
To any person, I would say that we are a church of God, and we have a message to preach. So people are free to come and worship with us, study with us, so that we see whether we reason together, we see whether we can come up with something and agree on what God is saying. Then as to our people who didn't make it to come, we enjoyed the stay together with the leaders from the division, and to them we are very thankful for the work that they did. But we need the support of the people, even those who didn't make it to come.
Furthermore, the newly elected Zambian Union Secretary, Dr. Mukelabai, expressed gratitude for having been elected as the new Zambian Union Secretary. He further shared that very soon the Zambian Union would be sharing a strategic plan that will show the direction that the Zambian Union is going to take, also emphasizing that he and the team that will be leading the union will not ask for support without clearly showing the direction that the Zambian Union is going to be taking from 2025 up to 2028. Here are the details.
I'm privileged to be the secretary of the union. So my call to action is, we're going to give you what our strategic plan is for the union, and we encourage you to support that plan. Of course, we are very much willing to get what your ideas might be. We don't claim to know everything, but we simply call for your support. We've got quite a number of ideas that we'd like to implement, but we cannot implement them without the church in Zambia. So we encourage all members to be supportive. God calls upon you to be supportive, just like he wanted those different men, at different times. The men of Meros, were cursed because they couldn't support the work of God. So we don't want you to find yourself in a position where God says you are cursed because you are not willing to support the work of God. And of course, we promise that we will not blindly call for your support without telling you what it is that we want to implement.
And further in the news, some members of the International Missionary Society in Lusaka shared their views on the Zambia that they want, emphasizing that there's need to improve cooperation between the Zambian Union and various fields that are under their supervision, including improving the communication between different levels of church organization. Furthermore, it was noted that people would love to see concrete and tangible developmental investments, projects at the Zambian Union, and to ensure that Zambian Union consider investing in other financial mobilization ventures so as to stabilize the financial base of the Union. And leaders have been urged to focus on progressing and pushing the work of God. Here are some few details from selected members.
Ifyo tule subila ifyo ninga subila nangufo Zambia Union twinga kaliro kutila intungulu shishi basala nangu isho lesasu minisho kutila wengire nkutaka mulimu kubombo mulimu wakwalesa kuti twakabira okumona okutila wanu kwaba cooperation between Zambia Union leadership elo na ama fields aya mu Zambia. Then chimbo cho twinga kabira okutila twamona fyachinjishiwako fyakumona okutila communication between ama leaders yapa union ukutendeka ku union, then nama fields, then nama programs ifyo yengendeshiwa efo twinga kabira okutila ubu butungulushi ubolesa asuminisha okutila bubikishiwepo efo twinga kabira efintu fimo okutila fibe fyachinjishiwako elo fimbi fyakumona okutila ama projects I am Zambia Union, especially pa headquarter kuti twakabira okumona okutila baba ama projects ama changes yakumona okutila ama projects batubikira batiswira kofie something yakwe bati twamona okutile inchito yakwalesa ilenda. Let's say for example ngamwalibikirepo ischool nga chakwe bati kwali inchendo ko mwinga fwa inchende so ati chirienda lama isho abantu bachita contribute chiringere shamone kokulanda chire bombo mulimo wakwalensa elo tu tuleka biro kumono kutila Zambia Union leadership ilio lesa amilashika ukutendeka pekuli ba union pastor especially executive tuleka biro kumono kutila cooperation ibepo with the fellow leadership. Then tuleka biro kumono kutila ulu bali ulwa ba missionary kumoneko kumono kutila imbila yakwalesa yakwato kwenda monse munchende mulya umo ishafika ku publishing kuti twakabira kumono kutila publishing what else is this publishing department imoneko kumono kutila kwibo kubomba independently. Let's uyu mulimo ubimbwemo na ama churches monse mu mafields mono kutira uyu mulimo wakwata okubimbwamo elo tatwinga kabira kumono kutila ilio ama offices yabikwa kabiri yale ikala fyo kwa bulo kubomfishiwa chiringire turemona umulimo ulendo mulimo wakwalesa so chila muntu mukati aka union leadership ture pepa kabiri ture mibika mukati aka amaboko yakwalesa okumono kutila lesa atungululo uyu mulimo kabiri umupashi wakwalesa ubomfya abana bakwelesa pakutila umulimo wende mukati aka union yesu efyo ninga kwato kukoseresha intungulushi.
And it was further noted that leaders need to focus on building new Bible workers and ensuring that gospel work takes the front row. Here are the details.
I'm happy because God has done His doings, and now we have the people to do the work. Yes.
Okay, so what are your expectations? What are you excited to see the new leadership of the union do in Zambia?
Well, what I'm expecting the new leadership to do is that perhaps there should be a shift in terms of our attention for the gospel wise. I think that our leadership now should invest more in Bible workers than keeping the system to run mechanically, but that there should be like a thought towards investing in Bible to have more Bible workers than we used to. Well, I think that every one of us should see this not as a last option thing. The work of God should not be after you failed in everything and then now you want to think about doing God's work. I think that doing God's work should be a priority for every one of us before we can think about succeeding in worldly things. Not that we don't need them, we do need them, but we don't have to come to the work of God after we've failed in everything as the final resolution.
Thank you so much for your
Thank
input.
you. Thank you for having me.
Be blessed.
The leader of the IMS at the University of Zambia also had the following to say.
First and foremost, all leaders must think about one common vision. We want leaders who have a vision, leaders who have a mission for the work, leaders who have strategic direction. We don't want to be saying I'm a leader without having a direction where you're taking people. So we'd love to see people with a vision, with a mission, with strategic direction so that people are led into a certain direction and reach that vision. We'll be very happy to see a successful Zambian union, not just in Lusaka, but across all the fields. So we hope that the Lord will bless His work up to summer 2028. And it's my appeal to all members that we continue to pray for our new leaders, that they stick to principle and stick to the vision so that we achieve a common goal at the end of the day.